welcome to my examination for the third week of Literature Circles. We had the book Better Than Carrots or Sticks. This week we had Rachel as our facilitator, Catherine as our synthesizer, and myself as examiner. This week we read chapters 3 and 6, which were mostly about procedures, expectations, and mindset. Rachel did an amazing job starting us off right and now with a do now. Our do now was 2 questions, which were, do you think what goes on outside of the classroom affects a student's work and their behavior in class? And when is the worst time to consider how to respond to a behavior and why? I said that if a student's needs aren't met or if they have a negative experience, they won't be their normal selves. Students stated after the behavior occurs is the worst time. The best time to be considerate of those responses is before the behavior occurs, really focusing on being preventative or proactive rather than reactive. It's really great that got brought up because that fits into our first discussion and our first objective. And that was really just talking about being aware of things before they occur and how an escalated adult cannot de-escalate an escalated child. Rachel did an amazing job being very intentional with these objectives and making sure that we met each one not only through activities but through our discussions. Our first objective was not only met with proactive discussion but with the organizer seen here. During our discussion, we all shared the 3 categories of rules as well as the importance of that rule. For example, Rachel talked about the first category.
For structuring interactions, I actually have my students flip a question mark over when they need help during independent work time, just because it's a lot easier to structure the environment. So my importance of teaching that would be it ensures that the environment is structured for them. I think it's really important to model that scenario for them so that they understand what it looks like, what it sounds like they know what is expected of them and how I want them
and
to
that goes with a quote we all highlighted that says, students expect there to be rules, they just want them to be fair. We all then met this second objective by analyzing the elements of effective rules and regulation for SPARK, which stands for safety, productivity, always responsible, respectful, and kind. In our group, we really broke down and spoke about the importance of each one. We did decide that the main takeaway over Sparks is that it maximizes productivity, lessens distraction, and ensures that your classroom is a positive and safe environment. Personally, during this time, I wish we initiated in more discussion rather than just a singular comment. When thinking about our third objective, it really ties into being positive and safe. We completed a Venn diagram about the people in our schools as well as the physical environment. We had an amazing discussion about how it goes way beyond just us as classroom teachers and how everyone plays a role.
And that just wasn't anything that I've ever thought. In my head, I thought, what goes on in other teachers' classrooms, that's their problem. All I can control is what goes on in my classroom.
Literally every person in your school plays a part to making it welcoming.
It really is to create a place where both students and guests, if they want to feel like their kid is welcome there, they want to feel like they are welcome there, because you're trying to create a place where students feel safe and welcome and wanted. It's up to us to be advocates for this. It's up to us to help change that mindset.
Rachel was absolutely correct. It is up to us to change that mindset. The last thing that Rachel had us do for our closure and to meet objective 4 was to write down goals on how we can incorporate restorative justice strategies in our classroom this upcoming year. 2 of our group members spoke about classroom meetings that would help them build community that is welcoming and inclusive. The 3rd group member specifically spoke about establishing routines and procedures in their classroom. Overall, this was a really great discussion for us to have. One thing as a group that I did notice that we want to work on for future discussions, groups that we may have in our own classroom, is to make sure that we are discussing back and forth, not just simply answering questions. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this examination of Literature Circle Better Than Carrots, Group 3.